In this lesson, we'll continue discussing the Swatches panel. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open and scroll down to 1302-1303 Swatches and just click Open. Let's take a look at spot colors. What are spot colors? Inks that are pre-mixed to an exact color to be used on a separate plate on the press. Pantone colors, such as Pantone Solid Coated Library, are spot colors. Let's create a spot color. To do that, just go under the Options menu to New Color Swatch. And you'll find the libraries under Color Mode. So if you click down on the Color Mode pop-up and find Solid Coated, you'll find that library. And I'm just going to type in a number 301, which is a beautiful bright blue. And I'm going to hit OK. I can tell that it's a spot color because in the middle of the square next to the listing, there's a spot. All of the rest of the CMYK swatches do not have a spot because they are process colors. What if I wanted to print using CMYK? Is there a way to get a close equivalent in CMYK to my original spot color? Well, what a lot of people do is they just double-click on 301C, and instead of Pantone Solid Coated for the mode, they choose instead CMYK. And for color type, they choose process instead of spot. And there's the CMYK breakdown. I'm just going to click OK, and now you can see there's no longer a spot because it is a CMYK color. But is this the most accurate way to match your Pantone color using CMYK? Well, there is a different library. Why don't we go under the Options menu to New Color Swatch in the Swatches panel, and for mode, choose instead Pantone Color Bridge Coated, and type in 301. I'm just going to click OK. Now, this is a library that was created to more accurately match the original spot color than just converting the color itself, the spot color, to CMYK. And let's see what's the difference. This is the 301C, which is what we converted. It's 100 cyan, magenta 64, yellow 22, and K6. And you can see these numbers are entirely different. In this case, Pantone used the latest technology to make the closest matching colors possible to the original spot color. So it's far more accurate than just converting the original spot color to CMYK. The fastest way to apply swatches is click on the swatch and just drag it to a fill. Or you could actually just drag it to a stroke around the fill, and you'll notice that the stroke changed. That's kind of nice. So you have a choice applying the swatch to the stroke or the fill. And you can see when I'm over the top of the stroke, I have a little line to the lower right of my pointer. If I go over the top of the fill, there's a box instead. So that's going to let me know when I'm over the top of a stroke to change the stroke. What if I wanted to change from one color to another color? Let's say I wanted to get rid of my Pantone 301C. All I have to do is click on the trash in the lower right-hand corner of the Swatches panel, and it's going to ask me, what do I want to replace that swatch with? And let me choose something really obvious like red, and just click OK. And you can see that everything that was that 301C is now red instead. Now, if I had used this swatch in any kind of a style or any kind of type formatting or an object style, it would change all of the objects or type that the deleted swatch have been applied to. Let's take a quick look under the Options menu. A lot of this we've covered already, and some of it you'll never come here for. Like, for instance, delete swatch. You're more likely to hit the trash at the bottom right corner of the panel. Load swatches. Well, if I'm working on a campaign, let's say, of brochures or ads, or I have certain client colors that I use all the time, I can load my swatches from a pre-existing document so I don't have to recreate them. I could also save swatches out of this file as something called an ASE file, which allows me to load them into other InDesign files as well as Illustrator files and Photoshop files. So that's kind of nice. Let me just hit cancel and see what else there is under the options menu. Select all unused. Let's say I wanted to clean up my panel. I had a lot of swatches I wasn't using. I can select all unused and then just hit the trash, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back under the options menu, add all unnamed colors. Well, if you created a bunch of colors and you never saved them as swatches, and at a certain point you realized, wait a minute, I need these colors in other places. I also want to apply them in the various pop-up menus in panels. And if they're not swatches, they're not available in those pop-up menus. I can add all unnamed colors, and it will add any color that's been used that had never been added as a swatch. I also have control of the way the panel looks. Right now I'm using name, but if I went to small name, you'll see I can get a lot more swatches in the panel. Or it's possible that maybe I want a small swatch. Looks more similar to Illustrator like that. I can also do a large swatch, which is of course much easier to see, but you won't be able to get as many swatches in the panel. Why don't we go back to name? So the swatches panel gives you a lot of control over all of the colors in your layout and makes it far easier to use those colors or to change those colors. In the next lesson, we're going to take a much deeper look at gradients.